Have you ever wondered how a small club can turn into a massive global movement? Well, today we're going to dig into the story of the Pathfinders. It's a story about how a simple idea for a youth club grew to have millions of members. But to really get it, you've got to go back to the very beginning, to the problem they were trying to solve. So it all started because some people felt there was this huge gap. Back in the 1920s, you had all these youth organizations popping up, and they were really popular. But some church leaders felt like, hey, wait a minute, something's missing here. And this quote from 1928, it just nails it. They believed the most crucial piece of building a kid's character, religion, was being totally left out of the picture. And right there, that became the mission. The idea wasn't just to start another club with some activities. No, the goal was to build something totally new, something that intentionally mixed together adventure, learning new skills, and a real sense of community, all on a foundation of faith. But of course, an idea this big doesn't just appear out of thin air. To see how it really came together, we have to rewind the clock way back to these little seeds that were being planted decades before anyone had ever even heard the name Pathfinder. And these little seeds, they were sprouting up all over the place. I mean, think about it. You had a 14-year-old kid organizing a youth society way back in 1879. Then you get daily devotionals, volunteer groups, even a little club called the Mission Scouts. Now, none of these were the Pathfinders, not yet. But each one was kind of like a test run, proving that kids and parents were hungry for something more. So by the time we get to the 1920s, all those scattered ideas start to come together and look like something we'd recognize today. This is really the decade where the core DNA of the modern club begins to take shape, piece by piece. And if you look at this timeline, you can literally see the building blocks falling into place. You've got outdoor stuff, you've got actual classes, summer camps, and this is a big one, the idea of earning honors for mastering skills. All the key ingredients are here. The structure was getting really solid, but it was still missing one thing, a name to tie it all together. Right? You've got the structure, the activities, the whole purpose. But what do you call this thing? Well, it turns out the name that would end up defining a global movement didn't come out of some stuffy committee meeting. Nope, it came from a simple story told around a campfire. Just picture this. It's a summer camp in Southern California. A storyteller is captivating these kids with tales of the American explorer John Fremont, who had this awesome nickname, the Pathfinder. And the kids just loved it. The camp itself got called Pathfinder Camp. And just like that, a name that perfectly captured that spirit of adventure and finding your way was born. It just stuck. Okay, so this is the moment. This is where it all snaps into focus. By the late 1940s, all the pieces were on the table. The activities, the structure, and now the perfect name. All it needed was an architect, someone to put it all together. And that architect was a youth director named John Hancock. He looked at all these great but separate ideas and knew they needed one strong, cohesive identity. So he championed the Pathfinder name, he designed that iconic triangle emblem we all know, he created the flag, and he made sure they had an official song. Basically, he didn't just organize the club, he gave it its brand. Oh, and the story of the song, it's just fantastic. So Hancock asks his friend Henry Berg to write a song. Berg wasn't a songwriter, so at first he was like, nah, I can't do that. But then he's driving one day in 1949 and bam, inspiration just hits him. He pulls his car over, grabs a scrap of paper out of his Bible and scribbles down the lyrics right there on the shoulder of the road. And out of that one moment of inspiration, that one little scrap of paper, came these words. A simple anthem that has now been sung by millions of kids all over the world. It just perfectly captured that spirit of service and faith the club was all about. So they had a name, they had an emblem, they had a song. The club was finally ready for the big time. The year was 1950. The Seventh-day Adventist Church officially voted to adopt the program. And with that single vote, a bunch of local experiments became a unified worldwide organization. And what happened next was, well, it was explosive. Once the club had that official stamp of approval, it didn't just grow, it spread like wildfire across the entire globe. As the club went global, it also got smart and went local. See, the name Pathfinder doesn't translate perfectly everywhere, so it adapted. In Spanish-speaking countries, they became conquistadores, which means conquerors, and in Portuguese-speaking areas, desbravadores, or trailblazers. The names were different, but that core spirit, totally the same. And nothing shows this crazy growth quite like the Camporee, this massive gathering of clubs. The very first one in 1953, it had just a few local clubs. But then look at this jump. By 1985, you've got over 15,000 people at one event. And by 1999, it's up to 25,000, with clubs flying in from all over the world just to be there. So this incredible growth, it really makes you wonder, right? What's the legacy of this whole movement today? What does it actually look like on the ground all around the world? Well, it looks a lot like this. From that tiny handful of kids in the early days to over 2 million members across the globe today. It's just an incredible scale, and what's even crazier is that it's driven almost entirely by volunteers. And you know, its impact is so much bigger than just club meetings. It's a place for powerful personal stories, like Christina Negu in Romania, who first connected with her faith through her local club. It's a real force for good, doing everything from food drives to building a national monument against smoking. Today, you can find Pathfinders in over 85% of the world's countries. So it started with a simple idea. Give kids adventure, but with a purpose. And from that, a global family was born. It was built by volunteers, given a really powerful identity, and then just embraced by communities everywhere. It really leaves you with a fascinating question. What is that magic spark? What does it really take for a small club to become a force that connects with millions and actually changes lives?